What's good, y'all? Welcome back to Kid Taj. And after making my last video about the Golden State Warriors, I really didn't think I'd have to make another one. But right now the most relevant thing in the NBA has to do with them, and this is not something that I was expecting. So after Kevin Durant went down with the injury, I made a video about the Kevin Durant injury, and I talked about, well, look, it doesn't really matter, because when Kevin Durant comes back, it should be before the playoffs, and this team, they got so many great players that they shouldn't really have trouble in this stretch run, because, you know, they have these players, and Steph Curry and Klay Thompson and Draymond Green, and they got some great role players, and they got a great system and a great coach, and they should be fine. They have 3 All-Stars, including a 2-time reigning MVP. Well, so I don't understand. I make the video, you know, I talk about, okay, well, this shouldn't be a problem. You know, they should enter the playoffs as the 1 seed. KD's probably going to be back, and they're just going to be fine, and this isn't going to deter them whatsoever. Now, a little bit of a conflict has come up, and I might not be making this video if the way this happened wasn't so bad. But the fact of it is that the Golden State Warriors lost to the Chicago Bulls last night, in really what was an incredible... I don't even understand it, because I'm a Bulls fan, a huge Bulls fan, and I watch every game, and the Bulls didn't even play good. And I know the Bulls are like that team that's notorious for playing great against great teams. Like, they beat the Cavs 3 times this year. They beat the Spurs this year. They always beat the Raptors in every single matchup. They beat the Celtics twice. Like, they beat these really good teams, and they lose to shit teams. That's who the Bulls are. So a Bulls win over the Golden State Warriors shouldn't mean that much to a lot of people. And I know people are going to go crazy because it's the Warriors and they lost. But to me, I'm like, well, I kind of half expected them to win, especially because it's on TNT and the Bulls have an 18-game winning streak on TNT home games for whatever reason. Now, if you watch the game, you would realize that the Bulls really didn't play well at all. I mean, they played, I would say, pretty bad. Like, the Golden State Warriors just played worse than the Bulls. And this is just because they had so many open missed shots. They are the Warriors. Their ball movement worked. I mean, they got guys shots. They just couldn't knock them down. Steph and Klay, 3 of 22 combined from the three-point line, which just doesn't make any sense. It's mind-boggling when you leave those guys. Like, it's not like they were taking terrible shots. Maybe Steph was, but Steph always takes contested shots, but he wasn't making them. And Klay was getting some good open looks, and he was 5 for 22 from the field in this game, and they lose. They score 87 points, a team that averages about 120 points per game. They scored 87 and took back-to-back losses for the first time since 2015. That was the longest streak of games played without back-to-back losses in NBA history. I believe it was something like, it was over 100. Remarkable. But it's gone. And it's because they lost to the Bulls. Like, that's bad. And the Bulls didn't even play good. Like, now, we're making this video because there are legitimate concerns that the Golden State Warriors, without Kevin Durant, they don't really stand a chance in the playoffs. When I say that, I mean they don't stand a chance, like, in the finals or maybe getting to the finals. They can't win without Kevin Durant. That's not what I'm saying. But, like, that's what we're hearing. People are saying that. There are concerns about that. Now, this Kevin Durant thing, it's not a sure thing that he comes back in 4 weeks. It's not a sure thing that he comes back, at any given time. I mean, he's out indefinitely. I think there is a possibility that he doesn't return, at all. Maybe, there's a huge setback and he doesn't even return. And that's probably not a high probability. You probably see Kevin Durant back right before the end of the regular season, is my guess. But you never know. I mean, he could have to miss a round or 2. I don't think they'll have trouble with the first round matchup because they'll probably be playing somebody like Denver or Portland, which they should be able to handle pretty easily regardless of if they have Kevin Durant. But, in that second round, if they play the Jazz, I mean, that's a team that could give them problems without, a guy like Kevin Durant. The Jazz, they're the best defensive team in terms of opponents' points per game in the NBA, and that's because they have the guy Rudy Gobert down low. But also guys in the perimeter. George Hill, Gordon Hayward, and Rodney Hood are good perimeter defenders. These guys, they are long, they're big, they can keep up with you. And Steph and Klay, they're going to have to chase them around screens and such. But it's weird to say this. I thought that I was like, well, last year they didn't have Kevin Durant. They won 73 games. They went to the finals. But it's actually a lot different than it was last year. I'm not really sure how I feel about this. For me, last video, I was like, well, they're going to get the 1 seed easily. because it's just not going to matter. Okay, they're not going to even lose that games, now, because like Kevin Durant, they can live without him. They got Draymond Green, their defensive guy, their facilitator, Curry and Thompson to shoot the lights out. That should be enough. And with the role players, you got 3 all-stars, like, you should be fine. But man, they lost to a bad Bulls team. Like, I don't know what to think of this. Yes, okay. The thing, my first initial reaction is seeing people talk about like Charles Barkley. Well, the Warriors won't get out of the West without Kevin Durant. They might not even have gotten out of the West this year with Kevin Durant. I think the Spurs have a legitimate chance of beating them in the Western Conference Finals, given that both teams make it there. But everyone's jumping to conclusions. They're saying, they lost to the Bulls, a bad Bulls team. They had a terrible night, and this is showing signs that they need Kevin Durant to win. I think people are jumping the gun here. I don't think there's any reason to be worried. They played 1 game without him. I mean, they played majority of the first game against the Wizards and lost that one to a really good home team. But they just got started playing without him. They need a little more time. They could turn this around. They could go on a 4 or 5, 6 game winning streak just right off and just shut everybody up. But on the other hand, Steph and Clay, because Steph has been very off recently. He's not playing like he did. We haven't seen a lot of MVP Steph this season. And that's not saying that he's been terrible, but Steph Curry certainly hasn't been that guy that he was last year, at least for, this season, for the majority. We've seen flashes. He has those games. Whenever he plays the Clippers, he just seems to come back to life. But, a lot of times, we're just not seeing. I mean, maybe, you guys, he's averaging less points because he has KD to give the ball to. There's not as many points to go around, and that makes sense. Like, I didn't expect him to average 30 points a game, but for me, it's like, well, you got to be shooting better from the field. It's 3 and 3, and like his percentages aren't as good as they were last year. I've talked about this a ton of times, but these last few games are we really seeing the regression of Steph and Curry? And are we seeing what this team looks like without KD? I didn't think it would come to this. I didn't think that, this would be like, well, without KD, they're this bad. I don't think they're that bad, honestly. I think they're going to get into a flow, and I don't think this is a big deal, and I think it's going to wash over, and no one's going to care about this in a week. But then there is the other hand. There is this other scenario that, hey, what if they don't figure things out? It'll be crazy, unheard of, weird. To imagine the Warriors as a team falling out of contention, that doesn't seem like a human thought in 2017. However, they did really just lose 2 games in a row for the first time in a few years last night. So maybe, it's not like that happened any time in the past year, right? You don't know what's going to happen. Anyway, that for me, this was a quick video just to talk about, the trending topic, the high trending topic. Because I think that, we're a little bit jumping to conclusions. That's my conclusion for this, is that it's like, okay, they're not playing well right now. They definitely have time. They're going to be the first seed. If they go into the playoffs playing like this and Kevin Durant's not back and they're not playing very well, it's going to be so much more interesting. I'm rooting for this. And it's not only because I just don't like the Warriors. Like, we know. I actually like the Warriors a lot more without Kevin Durant, but I still don't want them to win. Anyway, my point is that it's more interesting and I like it better because now it's more comp for other teams. It's like, it's fair. I shouldn't say fair. Okay, the Golden State Warriors, for the majority, they're all drafted and they're it's fine. But my point is that it's just more fun if more games are close and stuff. We want to see a 7-game. We want to see hella 7-game series. Love 7-game series that end in a tight game 7, like the NBA Finals. Like that's awesome. That's what I want to see. I hope we can see that. That every year for the playoffs. That's just what I want. Other than the Bulls winning the NBA championship as my first goal, my second goal is to have as many 7-game series as we can. I want to see some great basketball. I want to see the real stars shine, and that's gonna do it for this video. So what do you guys think? Do you think the Warriors are done for, in terms of winning the championship? They'll probably still make it, and I don't think this will be a big deal, and I said it wasn't a big deal because Kevin Durant's probably going to come back. But hey, I mean, on the off chance that he doesn't come back when he's supposed to, I mean, what do we think here? Anyway, that's going to do it for this video. If you enjoyed it, please don't forget to leave a like, comment an idea down below for a new video. I've been looking at those suggestions. I might do a top 5 defensive player of the year race thing video this weekend. I got a suggestion for that. I'll look at the other ones, see what I can do this weekend. And yeah, if you are new, subscribe. I'm out. Thanks for watching, y'all. Peace.